Why should you go to church? It's a good question. Hey guys, I'm Pastor Kim, here to help you discover God, and happy to take questions, comments, and anything you might be interested in. So, why should you go to church? Christians go to church as firstly, it's an opportunity to honor God and to seek Him and to experience His presence. But when you become a Christian, you're not just invited into a personal relationship with God, which is the main part of Christianity. You're actually invited into a family. And families, my family anyway, we catch up for dinner often. And, we eat, we hang out, we enjoy each other's company. That's kind of what church is for Christians. Now, if you're not a Christian, you're like, oh, I don't need to go to church. True. But if you're seeking God, I think it's very important to understand what His family is about, and to get a sense of of a person, you need to understand their culture. And if you want to know who or what God is about, well, you gotta be part of His family. You gotta experience part of His family. So if you haven't been to church, I want to encourage you to get to church. If you're curious, if you're discovering God now, which church you go to, that's a good question. Excuse me. Come to my church. That's the answer. No. There's heaps of good churches out there. You want to pick something that it's easy for you to go to, sure, but you want to basically, here's the number one criteria, I think, okay? You need to go to a Bible believing church, okay? And again, if you don't know what that is, or you need to speak to someone who's been in the faith for a little while, and they can give you some guidance, can send me a comment. I'd love to help you. And apart from that, is walking into a space where you feel comfortable, you feel like you sense the presence of God. There's a comfort there. There's people that want to get to know you, that are friendly. People have a sense about places. Like, it's just like we all do. We all know when we feel comfortable. We all know when a place is healthy. We all know when we want to go back to a place or we want to stay away. So you're gonna have, like, your spidey senses going, yeah, okay, this is a good place, I want to hang out. And with that, if they're preaching the Bible, if they're singing, and singing is a big part of church, by the way, and it might weird you out at first, right? Especially you go to church and people are singing, and some of them might be like closing their eyes. And if you go to some modern churches like ours, some of them might even have their hands raised. We call that time, that singing time, we call it worship. And that time of worship is a space that's it's like a twilight zone, in the sense that it's a meditative space, right? It's you're not just receiving content, which is what the message is about, right? But you're singing music, and music in and of itself has its own emotional impact. It changes our mind state, right? So, and then with singing songs, there's repetitive. It's part of our humanity to respond to music that way, and it's part of our humanity to be in a certain mental space. And so the point there is to get yourself separated away from everything else, with the people of God, to experience the presence of God corporately, to worship God and to hear from God. And in that meditative space, it's easier to do that. So church, really important. And then of course it's the preaching as well, getting content, getting understanding, getting wisdom. And the conversations before and after church are just as important. Meeting people, going in community. Again, we're invited into a family family conversations, family culture, and you're going to get to know more about God by getting to know His family. So that's my encouragement to you. That's why you should go to church. Be blessed.